What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down Joe Burrow's throwing mechanics from the 2020 season. We're going to be talking about this throw from the pocket, and we're going to be talking about how you guys can get more velocity on your throws, how you guys can get a stronger arm on your throws from these mechanical tips, and how you guys can throw on the run more effectively, okay? And guys, if you're a quarterback and you want to get better at reading coverages, being able to understand defense is one of the most important things that quarterbacks have to do. Check out that very first link in the description. It says learn how to read defenses. Guys, 200 already made coverage breakdowns that you'll get access to, okay? Plus, you get 4 new breakdowns every single week added on top of that, okay? So eventually it'll get to 300, 400 breakdowns. You guys will have just like this where I draw on the screen, but we break down coverages and how quarterbacks can read defenses, okay? Again, check out that link in the description. It says improve your hands, or not improve your hands, excuse me. That's for my receivers. Learn how to read coverages. That's the link that you guys want to check out in that description. Hope to get you guys on that soon. Again, check out some of our plans that we offer. Let's get started. So first things first here with Burrow when he throws this thing. We want to make sure that you guys have a quick foot strike and your hips are engaged in the throw. And I think that's something that Burrow's very good at. I think he has a very quick stride. He has a lot of rotational force from his hips, and he's very disciplined with his front side. So you see when he makes this throw, watch it again, full speed one more time. Great job getting the front foot down, being relaxed with the ball, and then finishing through, right? And you see how much his back knee is coming through and how much that back hip is coming through before that football. So let's talk about it. So when Burrow's back here in the pocket, I think something that all great quarterbacks, Peyton Manning is the exception. That's what everybody gives me crap about when I say this one. But he was still relaxed with his elbows and with his traps. He had that ball on a little bit higher of a ball carriage, but you see most quarterbacks that are very, very good passers, right? And I think it's a fair argument to say that Aaron Rodgers might be a little bit better of a passer. Drew Brees might be a little bit better. I'm not saying they're better quarterbacks, but might be a little bit more talented in terms of throwing the football than Peyton Manning would be. And you see how relaxed they are with their ball carriage, right? I'm not saying this is the only way to hold the football, right? But you want to be as relaxed as you possibly can with your traps and with your elbows, okay? That's how you want to be. You want to be relaxed. I'm not saying hold the ball down here by your waist or by your midsection. I'm not saying hold the ball up here by your ear. I actually don't like it when quarterbacks hold the ball up by their ear because it makes you tense. You want to be nice and relaxed with your upper half, because if you're relaxed with your upper half, you can create more force with your lower half and with your hips, right? The quarterbacks coaches, it's outdated when they say, oh, hold this ball up by your ear. You try to tell them, find me an NFL quarterback that holds that ball up by their ear and holds it up high like that. That's not the case. They do that because they want your elbow to get up, but we're going to talk about how your elbow can even get up with this backstroke, okay? Your backstroke getting to that opposite L angle that Burrow gets to right here, that's what gets your elbow up and over. You don't need to just lift that ball and get the elbow up to 90 straight away, because that's going to screw up your sequence. And by sequence, I'm going to refer to that right now. So what I mean by sequence is that kinetic sequence, everybody loves to talk about a kinematic sequence, where your front foot gets down and your shoulders are closed and your hip drive is what brings that football through, right? So you see how Burrow, he's got a quick foot strike, right? Probably one of the quicker ones in the NFL to be able to get this thing down. You see how much he's able to keep his front shoulder, I wouldn't say closed. He doesn't rotate it back a whole ton, which some guys do. Some guys have a little bit more different of a front shoulder, but the thing that remains consistent, right? And that's the thing we're trying to point out. We're trying to point out the consistencies in all elite quarterbacks and all elite passers, what they all have in common, so you guys can use that to improve your game. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people take this as like, oh, this is the only way to throw the football. That's not what we're trying to get at. I've made tons of breakdowns of different quarterbacks, and they all probably throw the ball somewhat different. But the things that remain consistent is this sequence, hip drive, and how they finish on the ball. That's it. Those are the 3 things that we got to focus on, right? And base, and obviously a lot of other things, but that's what we're going to be focusing on right now. So his front foot's down as his front shoulder is closed, right? He's not spreading his chest. He's not ripping that shoulder open or swinging that elbow down and lifting the ball. What he's doing is he's keeping it closed. He's getting his front foot down, and now he's going to be ripping through with this hip and keeping that front hand nice and tight to his frame to generate torque, right? When you're able to get that front foot down and keep that shoulder closed, you're able to keep your head level. You have the ability to just rotate solely with your hips, and you see that's what Burrow does. You see how much his front hip, not only his back hip is driving through, but his front hip is opening up. He's swinging that front hip around to where his hips are getting completely square to the target, and what that does is that brings that back knee through, almost like you want to think of it like you're standing in a pretty big hula hoop where you could keep your base. And this is something you guys can do to improve your foot strike. You set up a bunch of cones around your base, and you really work on you being able to rotate through and driving that knee through to be able to get that hip drive. So you see when he rotates through with that front hip, you look at that front hand. It's almost like he takes that hand and just pulls it back to his chest, right? I wouldn't recommend that, because that means that your hand comes out in front of your frame, but he doesn't swing it around his body. And when he finishes on this throw, you see how he's able to stay square to this thing. Obviously, that front shoulder can open up a little bit, right? That's fine. That comes with the territory of throwing, being a rotational athlete. But when you rotate rotate through and you finish and you're at the release point right here, your hip should be coming through first. That back knee should be coming through. Burrow kind of popped up a little bit on this one, but that's fine. Again, it's a chaotic back there in the pocket. And on certain throws where you might have to throw a touch, you might have to pop up with your base. But you want to make sure that you're getting your hip through. You're opening your front hip. You're swinging your front hip open, driving your back hip, pushing up this inside arch of your back leg. So if your hip can come through before this football, that's how you generate torque. If you keep that front hand nice and tight to your frame, you keep that thing here and you try to stay square and you get your front or you get your right hip if you're a right-hander, your back hip through the throw before the football can come there, that's how you generate torque and that's how you're going to get a little bit more velocity on this throw. And again, when we finish, right, it's all about being able to extend. You look at a lot of the great quarterbacks. We were talking about something that everybody has in common, right? Everybody takes the ball back different, right? But they got the same hip drive. They got a lot of the same torque, right? Some guys might rotate maybe a little bit more. Some guys might have a little bit longer of a foot strike. It all varies. But another key consistent point is that their eyes stay level at release point and they're extending that follow through at release point, right? You want to think of this as like you're throwing at a dartboard because you could do everything right with your body. You could drive off the back leg. You get your hips through. You keep your front hand tight. But if you just short arm this and kind of baby that release, then we're not going to have as much consistency. But if you extend like you're throwing at a dartboard, if you ever played darts before, when you throw at a dartboard, you're extending, right? Because you're trying to be accurate. You let your body pay the tab and your arm's just paying the tip at the restaurant. That's the extension. That's the wrist flick. That's how we get a little bit more accurate when we're focusing on doing all these mechanics. Now, the reason people aren't, a lot of guys aren't sold on this type of way to throw because, I mean, one, they probably don't study that much film and don't watch how some of the best guys throw, and some of the most talented passers throw like Aaron Rodgers or a Drew Brees type. But they figure that, okay, this is too much to teach. If you do one thing wrong, it's going to throw everything off. This follow through is a good way to bail you out, making sure that I extend at the target. If you swing that front shoulder out of there, you dip that front elbow, it's going to be a little bit harder. But focus on letting your body make the throw and your arm is flicking that wrist right at the target. This is a great mechanically sound throw. Let's watch it again full speed. Again, relax ball carriage. It starts from there. Quick stride, drive this thing out. Okay, so now we're going to talk about in a situation where you're escaping on the run. So by escaping, I mean that you're going towards the sideline. I mean that you're not taking this basic sprint out where you square the guy up and you run at the target. You're going towards the sideline, and you got to get your hips to the target right now because there are going to be situations, guys, where quarterbacks have to get out of the pocket. You have to run, and you're not going to be able to square up the throw every single time. So it's got to happen on a dime, and how it happens on a dime is with this right leg, the right or your throwing side leg. If you're a left-handed quarterback, it'd be your left leg. But your throwing side leg is what's going to get your hips to the throw and what's going to help you be a little bit more consistent and be able to generate more torque. So you see when Burrow throws here, it's almost like he turns his hips right here, right? He turns his hips. I was trying to draw a straight line. He turns his hips as he steps with the right leg. And what does he do as he steps with the right leg? He starts to close that front shoulder and he takes that football back because he knows when he swings that left leg through and he keeps that front arm tight to his frame, that's torque. This position right here, that is torque. Swinging the left leg through, your hips are at the target, your shoulders are at the target, but this front hand stays nice and tight to your frame because imagine if he's here and he tries to swing this front shoulder out for power, his hips are going to go towards the left, and he's going to throw this thing across his body. That's why so many people don't teach this kind of thing. They teach you to, okay, get out, square up the target, chop your feet, and then when you're in an escape situation in a game, you can't even make this throw. You're not going to be consistent. We want to be extending the play. We don't want to be focusing on, okay, let's be as mechanically sound as possible like it's a sprint out. On a sprint out, different story. You could probably take a little bit more time. It's a design play. We have it blocked up, but when you're escaping out of the pocket, it's got to happen on a dime to be able to get your hips there, right? So he closes those shoulders as he steps, and then when he finishes through the throw, like I said, keeps that hand nice and tight to his frame. That allows his release point to be consistent. His shoulders are level and his hips are level. Now, especially in a situation where you guys are running towards the sideline, I just need to be here at release point. When I release the ball, I got to be squared up. I got to be able to generate torque, close my shoulders as I step with the right leg, swing the left leg through. Then after that, I can fade out all I want. You don't have to stay running at the target. That's a misconception. In some cases, like a basic sprint out, yes, you want to be staying there. But on the throw, at the release, when you release this thing, you want to be as square as possible to the target or to that receiver, okay? You don't want to be bailing out of there because what happens is, let's say you step here with the right leg, but you don't, because a lot of guys will step with the right leg, but their hips still go this way. They just step with the right leg and throw. If your hips go towards the sideline, that's that quote-unquote a cross-body throw that everybody loves to say. But when you can step with the right leg and bring your hips there and at the same same time you're closing your shoulders to get that nice whip of the motion, or you're like cracking that whip, a twitchy motion, however everybody wants to call it. That helps you get more torque on the ball, and it helps you be more consistent on the ball. Okay, let's watch this thing again full speed one more time. This is a great job by Burrow making this throw on the run. And same principle applies. Flick that wrist like you're throwing at a dartboard. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you guys have any questions, leave those in the comments. Again, if you're a quarterback and you want to get access to eventually speaking, this time next year, it'll probably be close to about 400 videos, coverage breakdowns, 4 new every single week, where we talk about how to read defenses, plus 200 preloaded videos you can already watch. As soon as you sign up, you have access to those videos. Check out that link in the description, guys. I'll see you guys next time.